Hello everybody, Mr. Akins here and welcome to What's on the Comic Rack. In this video I'm going to talk about some comics I read last week and kind of recognize a trope that's been occurring in a lot of my videos. And that trope is mentioning other channels. Any channel I mention in this video, a link to that channel can be found in the description below. Now I hope to turn these videos into a weekly series called What Did I Read Last Week? And these videos are inspired by Ricky from AllSortsOfWords, who issued a challenge wanting to know what some of the people out there were reading. Now, last week I read a total of 13 comics. And like Lunch Money Comics always says, you can't have a video unless you show off some comics. So I'm going to show 12 of those comics I read last week, and those comics are going to be Crisis on Infinite Earths. So let's get to looking at that beautiful George Perez footage. Crisis on Infinite Earths, creators Marv Wolfman, George Perez, and Dick Giordano. All 12 issues feature cover art by George Perez, and issue number 1 features a wraparound cover. Now I guess the first question is, why am I rereading this? I have a collecting goal, and I recently started thinking about setting reading goals. Started thinking about reading goals at the beginning of summer, and I wanted to start at the beginning of Marvel Comics, and therefore I would start reading Fantastic Four. Now, the comic book community, there seems to be a definite debate about slabbing and not slabbing, which I don't really have a strong opinion about. However, I do have a strong opinion about reading comics online. I just can't do it. Some people can, I just can't. I had a subscription to Marvel Unlimited, and for the last 2 years of it, I did not read a single comic. Then I thought, well, maybe I can go with omnibuses. Then I found out the price of omnibuses. And if I'm going to spend close to $200 on comic related material, it better be an actual comic. Then Wahoo Comics had a video that gave me a great idea. Go to your local library, use interlibrary loan to get some of these trades or omnibuses. I went in June and asked about it. Did not hear back from them. Went back in July to follow up, and now it's August and I still have no response. I then decided maybe I should start with some DC Comics, and where would be a good spot to jump onto DC Comics? And I thought, how about Crisis on Infinite Earths? Now, Crisis on Infinite Earths came out in 1985. At that time I'm 16 years old, and I can drive around town, pick up comics at gas stations and convenience stores. Now, at that time, I'm primarily a Marvel reader, but I had a friend that was primarily DC, and he's telling me, start picking up this title, man. It's great. You gotta read it. So the first issue I was able to pick up was issue number 7, The Death of Supergirl, and I was hooked. So, to combine collecting and reading, I bought issues number 1 through 6 from my LCS, and I read all 12 issues last week. I've read issues 1 through 12 before. Like I said, my friend had those comics and I was able to read those. So this is not my first time reading Crisis on Infinite Earths. So my thoughts about Crisis on Infinite Earths: first, the artwork is amazing, breathtaking, and epic. Exactly what you need and want for this type of grandiose story. Perez is a master of crowd shots, which is critical for the success of this endeavor. I think the fact that Perez and Wolfman had mastered their collaboration on Teen Titans before doing this is another element to this comic book success. Crisis was my introduction to many DC characters I didn't even know existed. How Perez and Wolfman were able to cram so many characters into one story is still mind-boggling, but they did it. Characters from the past, present, and future were all brought together, with Superman, both past, present, and future versions, taking a pivotal role in the story. I still love Crisis on Infinite Earths. Was it a perfect reboot? No. But did it get me into DC Comics? Yes. Does the scope of the story limit characterization and development of many of the heroes and villains? Yes. But again, no story is perfect. Now the question is, do I continue from this point in the DC universe, or do I go straight to the New 52? Please put your comments below and tell me what you think. Next week I'm looking at reading some of the post-crisis comics I have, and maybe head to my LCS for some post-crisis comics I don't have. Now, I plan on focusing on DC's Trinity, which means Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. But I do have 2 long boxes of Legion of Superheroes, which I was able to get out of that 17 long box collection. So I'll probably read those as well. So, until next time, and I talk about what I'm reading, we'll see you around the comic rack.